Dana with Empowered by Dana. I am playing with filming this in landscape mode, so we'll see how it turns out. I want to share with you some quick little tidbits about my take on holistic self-defense. This is to help you live a whole health, body, mind, spirit, physical, I already said that in body, health, self-defense. Self-defense is not just strikes and kicks and, learning how to look cool, doing all that stuff. Self-defense is, do you prioritize your peace, your sleep, what you put in your body nutritionally? That is all self-defense. Okay, let's just do a couple quick things. I want to make this succinct. Let's see if I succeed at doing that. Let's roll your shoulders forward. Roll the other side forward. I heard one of the names for this is called the Egyptian, like walk like an Egyptian. I don't know. So I'm good with that name. I don't honestly really know if that's the true name for it, but let's go with it. Also, if you get some little pops in your shoulder, I feel that every single time I do this, and I was told by a physical therapist that is normal and fine as long as it doesn't hurt. If something hurts, don't do it, right? Don't beat up your body. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Let's roll those shoulders back. This is by no means comprehensive. Switch direction. I just want to give you a little taste of what holistic self-defense looks like, in my opinion. Now, let's take one arm up and over. This is stretching the muscles on the back of the arm called the triceps. Hold that for as little or as long as you like. Again, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Switch sides. We are just doing a super brief stretch. Feel the stretch on those triceps. Okay, if you have something to hold on to, cool. If you don't, then you may or may not want to do this one. I'm going to turn sideways to you for a second. Just grab the top of your foot, like where your shoelaces would tie, and stretch the front of your leg, called the quads. Look at my back. Don't do this. Not that it's wrong. No movement is wrong. Our body should be able to do lots of things. However, when we're doing certain things, we want to be aware of any compensations. Switch to the other side. If you don't have something to hold on to and you still want to do this, cool. Give it a try. See how your balance is. If you're like this, maybe find something to hold on to. So you can either challenge your balance or you can choose to hold on to something and make it easier on yourself. The next thing I want to do is talk about a movement. I like to do a lot of compound movements. That just means lower and upper body are working at the same time. I also don't love to use a lot of fancy terminology because I think it's just not necessary. A staggered stance squat, for those of you that also plan to or already have a martial arts practice, this will tie in very well to that. Staggered stance simply means, come sideways for a sec, one leg is in front and one leg is in back. I know my feet are not visible. The leg that is in front, the foot is fully planted on the ground. The leg that is in back is on the ball of the foot. This is how we walk, right? When we walk, the same thing is happening. We end up on the ball of the foot before that foot comes forward to take another step. So it's very mimicky, so like making up words, to life, okay? One of the points of this stance, I'm gonna come back to facing you, is to try to make this a single leg exercise. So we're putting most of the weight on the front or planted leg, those of you that are martial artists or are aspiring to be one. This, with the left leg in front and the right leg in back, is the right-handed person stance, also called orthodox stance. All we're going to do from here is drop down, push your foot into the ground to come back up. This is a staggered stance or split stance squat. I'm going to come sideways. Watch my back and my torso. As I come down into this staggered stance squat, say that 5 times fast. it is natural for the body, the upper body, to hinge or lean forward. That's natural. You'll feel more work in the glute if you do this. This, watch this. You see how it looks? It doesn't look really natural, right? It looks kind of like robotic and like, that is another method. However, with this one, you're going to get more glutes. And nobody is mad at a good set of glutes, right? Nobody. Okay, switch your stance. Now, I talked about, let me flip around. I talked about making this a compound movement and having the upper body work as well. Now, if you don't have any weights, that's totally fine. You can either use something around the house, or if you happen to have a set of weights, what is that? It's a set of weights. You can use either 1 or 2 weights. And one of the easiest things to add to this, let me go back into this stance, is an overhead press. So you can come down into that squat, press the ground away to come back up, and then continue that press up into an overhead press. Alternatively, gotta make sure I didn't drop that anywhere near my foot. Alternatively, you could do a single side and then just press that side. So we're basically making one side of our body do the work while the other side is hanging out until it is the other side's turn. Because we never want Lefty to feel left out. Nobody puts baby in the corner. Nobody puts Lefty in the corner. I have a whole story about Lefty. However, we won't get into that right now. The next thing, this one, you could totally do without weights because this one is utilizing more of the smaller muscles in the back. This is a bent over fly. I'm gonna come sideways to you because when we bend or hinge over, hinge is like sending your hips back. And again, notice there's the lean again, like gangster lean. The lean, or technically it's called a hinge, but I feel like lean is a better description because it's kind of like, what does hinge mean? What does that exactly mean? When you hinge your hips back, the chest / torso automatically hinges or leans forward to counterbalance, right? So now, first everything's in line, this comes back, this counterbalances, so now I still feel stable. In this position, we can hold this here. I always say check in on the ribs, make sure they're not flared out, okay? I used to have a really bad postural habit of doing that. We want these ribs knit together. Feel like you have this sort of feelings. Ladies, if you were alive back in the, whatever, corset, think of a corset, okay? Keeping those ribs together so that when I hinge, I'm not ending up in this position. This was a Dana special several years ago before I first entered physical therapy, okay? I had to work a long time to get comfortable with this feeling, and I still check in on it when I hinge back. I still feel my back to make sure that I don't have this big sway back right here. In this position, we're just gonna bring the arms out to the side. Come facing you for a sec. This is a reverse fly. So feel like you're bringing those arms, like you're gonna fly away. The elbow is not locked out. It maintains a soft bend. We're bringing those shoulder blades towards each other, not completely. They don't have to completely like squeeze in together. Sometimes we want them to do that. But we're just feeling that movement, bringing the shoulder blades towards each other. Without the bent over position, it looks like this, bringing those shoulder blades towards each other. Okay, do however many of those you want. It really doesn't matter. Any reps are better than no reps. The last thing I'm going to show you is a wide squat. My feet are kind of like this. They can be pointing toes straight forward, or the toes can point out a little bit. That oftentimes feels a little bit better on people's knees to have the toes pointing out a little bit. When you come down into the squat, have your knees follow the angle of the toes. My knees are coming here because my toes are pointed out. My knees are not doing this. They're not doing this, although those are good dance moves. I love dancing. But they are pointing out, following the line of my feet. Okay, so let's go again. There's so many names for things. Sumo squat, wide stance squat, plie squat. Doesn't matter what the name is. If you want to add something to it, you can raise the arms in front of you. You can also do this with weights, and you can also feel how this is another one of those compound movements. So if I grab my trusty weights, I can start with them here, for example, raise up in front of me. If that's, if I'm like, wow, that's way too heavy, drop one. You can raise one up like this. Do whatever serves your body today. What serves your body today might be different than what serves it tomorrow, and that is all normal and fine. It's not about always improving, pushing. No one can PR every day. I had to unlearn that one too. Lots of things that I had to unlearn. And my goal is to shorten that curve for you and be like, you know what? Things like that, pushing all the time, end up in burnout, injury, all of the stuff. Okay, so there are some movements that you can do. You can squeeze these in whenever you have time. You don't have to commit or dedicate an entire hour or 45 minutes to working out. If you can do 3 reps of something while you're on the phone, and yeah, I said 3. I decided to go like this instead of like this just because, I don't know, it felt like the thing to do at the time, so I just went with it. Any reps is better than 0 reps, okay? The next thing I want to talk about is one of the most common issues with my training clients and friends is meal prep, how to eat. Eating is, in my opinion, 90% of how we look. You know, you'll read the 80-20 rule and that's all cool. And then I have other trainer friends that are like, no, it's 100%. I'm gonna go with 90. I think it's 90%. But it's hard. It is the hardest part. This stuff that we just did, that's easy. Eating can be the hardest part. I was on the phone with one of my friends today, and one of the recommendations that I gave her is there anyone in your life that likes to cook? Some people, these freakish type people, I don't know what planet they came from, but cooking is their stress relief. Where are you all from? Okay, because I'm not from that planet. Cooking for me is a stress inducer. So I have a friend, she is one of the angels in my life, and I bring her all the food, and she cooks it for me each week, and I pay her for cooking the food. I want to eat healthy food that I know where it came from, I know where the meat came from, I know where the vegetables came from, the farmer's market, I know where it all came from, but I don't want to cook it. I really don't want to cook it. I did for a while. So we talked to, she was like, yeah, this woman at work, she's Nigerian, and she'll bring in this food, and it has cool spices, and she introduced me to cucumber salad, and she also has a daughter, and she says sometimes her daughter cooks meals for her. I'm like, okay, just run it by this person. You don't have to, you don't have to beg and plead, just run it by them. And if you run it by enough people, especially if you know that they like cooking, here's what you say. Hey, I noticed you like cooking. I don't love cooking. However, if I supplied you my proteins, my vegetables, my complex carbohydrates, and I have a budget of fill in the blank dollars per week, $50 per week, $60 per week, $40 per week, would you be willing to cook some food for me? And I'll pay you for that service. My meal prep, she just puts everything, all of the broccoli is in one container. All of the ground beef is in one container. She doesn't portion it out because all that takes even more time than the budget I have for now. So I have all of that cooked. So see if you could think about someone in your life. I've been through a few different friends. Some were like, it's too much work, I can't do it anymore. I get it. So there's how you can start defending your health. Ask people to help cook for you. Using your voice. This is something that I talk a lot about in my self-defense classes, and it translates to all other areas of life. Ladies, sometimes we're taught to be quiet, as we're growing up. Be quiet. If you speak out too much, you might be a bia, the rest of that word. And we grow up with that, and sometimes we take that, we carry that well into life, and then we don't speak up when we should be speaking up. This is very important for you to teach your daughters if they're going away to college, if they have a study buddy that starts getting a little too touchy-feely and they don't say anything. That can lead to something more severe. Speak up for yourself. Teach your daughters to speak up for themselves. If something does not feel good to you, say something. Use your voice. Get loud if you have to. When you get loud, that usually tells people that you mean business. Fortunately, I come from a loud family where when we're all together, the loudest one is the one that really gets heard. So we're all kind of one octave above each other, except for two people. There's two people in the family that are this quiet, and they're the anomalies that we're like, okay, they basically never get a say in anything. Just kidding. So use your voice, speak up. If something feels bad, say it. You never know when you're speaking up might help someone else to not be a victim or to not be bullied or anything like that. Fill in the blank. Last thing I want to discuss. You see me looking down is because I'm looking at my notes because I was afraid I would forget something that I wanted to talk about. Hold on. Sleep hygiene. I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't totally see it. Sleep is so important. A quote from someone, and I really wish I could remember his name, is that he says he treats sleep like an 8-hour $1 million meeting. And I was like, that right there. I didn't know how to say that as well as he did. That's why he's on some massive platform and this great motivational speaker. But that is how I feel about my sleep. Protect your sleep. All of the good stuff happens when you sleep. Fat loss, muscle gain, immune system, getting over trauma, all of it. Name it, it happens while we sleep. Recovery, fractured my wrist in January of 2024. All of the good stuff happens when we sleep. So protect it like an 8-hour $1 million meeting. And if you're like, I haven't had 8 hours of sleep since I was in 6th grade, what are you thinking? Okay? It'll make you more productive at your job. You'll have better relationships. You'll be in a better mood. Everything. Sleep. So I love to sleep. Okay, so here's a couple tidbits. And again, none of this is by any means comprehensive, but just take a couple things with you. At the end of the day, the bright lights, I'm like a gremlin, you guys. I'm like, light bright. Like, is it gremlin or vampire? Yeah, either one, probably a mixture of the two. Turn off bright lights. If the lights can not be coming from overhead, that's good. So even if it's the option of a bright light, but there's a lamp, turn the lamp on because it's not coming from overhead. And then I will, if I'm staying places, I will cover the lamp. Make sure it's not one of those light bulbs that gets hot. I'll cover it with something to try to make it even darker. Even better, red lights, or KOZE, the company Cozy, they have a non-blue light bulb. Blue light is the light that tells us to wake up. That's what's in your white light, that's what's in your screens, your TV, all of that. So no overhead lights if you can avoid it. Otherwise dim them, otherwise have them down below you. Moving to the next level would be the Cozy non-LED light bulbs. I'm sure there's other companies that have it. Or red light bulbs. Red doesn't wake us up. And another bonus, if you can, look at the sunset as it's going down. Those are end of day. There's all kinds of stuff to do in the morning as well, including but not limited to looking at the sun or the sky, even if there's not sun, even if it's overcast or raining, looking at the sky for 5 to 10 minutes, even if it's 1 minute. You remember, any time, any reps is better than 0. As soon as you wake up in the morning, or at least within the first half hour, look at the sky. That sets you up for sleep that night, believe it or not. What you're doing in the morning is already setting you up for sleep that night. Okay, I wanted to keep this at right about 20 minutes. So this is what I have for you today. My name's Dana. I am a veterinarian turned into personal trainer, mixed martial arts instruction, self-defense trainer, and I now umbrella all of that under holistic self-defense, which is a term that I adopted from one of my self-defense mentors. Please follow me here. Follow me on YouTube, Empowered by Dana. Please follow me on Instagram at Empowered by Dana. Same as the Facebook page. I will be doing many more of these. I will also be holding live, interactive, free, holistic self-defense webinars. And I'm aiming to keep those a little bit on the shorter side too. I know time is precious, so I'm aiming for 45 minutes. And stay tuned. Let me know if you have any questions. Comment below, and I will see you on the next one.